Hey, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi, Bonnie.
How's everybody tonight?
All things considered, could be better, could be worse.
Okay. We'll take that, I guess.
Yeah. Andreas, you need to update your picture, man, on your Zoom thing, like with the hair. That's quite a difference.
Next week, Friday, I think it'll be exactly a year since my last haircut.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Me too. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
So
I
we're,
had haircuts your length, I was doing them about weekly.
Yeah. So we're streaming to YouTube. All that stuff's live. So please don't be like Oakley school board members. Causes problems. Did you guys all see that?
Oh.
Yes.
That was not
Yes,
good.
Okay.
Speed camera, that should do it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Did you hear me, right?
All right. We're good.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Okay, as long as you can hear me. I can't hear, are you talking? I can't hear a thing. Unmuted.
Okay,
Greg, I got you.
So,
all
moved
right,
you-
finally.
I moved you over.
My unmute button wasn't showing up and I could see everybody, but I think I'm on now, right?
You're on. Yes, you are.
Okay. All right.
We're streaming live to YouTube, so the YouTube stuff's already going.
I don't have a video on this, I mean.
Let's see, I think we're at 7 o'clock. How many people do we have? Are we waiting for more?
We have you, Gene, Bonnie. Mike Hogan is going to be on, as far as I know.
Audio settings
And Linda?
is at the bottom.
Last thing I heard was Linda may come on and might not be able to make it.
Okay, all
I
right.
want to give it a little bit of time here.
Yeah, you just let me know when we want to start.
Sean had me fix it before somehow. Maybe we need to get him. I'm just gonna text him.
Hi, Gene.
So Sean?
Gene. Yes, sir.
Yeah, when I read the introduction about the instructions about this video, it doesn't really make sense to read all the details since they have to be on Zoom already. So
Right.
I'm just going to kind of go over briefly that we're on a Zoom meeting and maybe I'll, and how to use the raise your hand feature and that's about it.
That's all that I generally say now during council meetings is to how to do the public participation portion by hitting the raise your hand.
Raise your hand. Okay.
Right.
All right. So right now we have a quorum, but we're waiting for Mike. And then we don't know about Linda.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And so I guess everybody who would be on would be showing up. So in other words, I don't see anybody from the general public. Is that correct?
As a panelist, you should, if you, well, are you on a phone or on an iPad?
I'm on an iPad.
So I don't know. I don't know if there's a way for you to hit your
Well, it
participants button on the bottom.
it does. It says participants and there's 10. There's you, me, Carol, Bonnie, Andres, Jean, and Mary Beth.
Yeah. So the tab, you might not be able to see it on an iPad, but on there's a tab that says attendees that we have 3 folks from the public attending as well.
Oh, there are. Okay, good to
Yeah.
know. I did not know that. Thanks.
Mary, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And then Sean, it's live streaming on YouTube too, right?
Yes.
I got the email.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube live, it says so.
Linda has already said that she will be late if she can make it at all. She had a family meeting that she couldn't miss.
Okay,
So she may be coming late.
all right. So what you say, Sean, should we get going? Or you want to wait a few minutes
Yeah.
for Mike?
Mary Beth said to hang on for a minute for Mike Hogan.
Okay, we'll do.
Yes. And then while I have you here on the phone, Sean, I had to forward my invitation to this meeting to Mike Hogan to a
That
different
won't-
email address. It won't work, huh?
No, he needs to, if he logs on using the link on the agenda, I'll promote him to panelist.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so do you have the agenda in front of you, Mike? Okay, can you, here, I'll do it. I'll send it to you. I'll copy and paste it to you. And then Sean will let you in.
So when are we going to be able to go back to live meeting, Sean?
Oh
Whatever.
my.
Supposed,
Yeah, that
We're sup-
becomes problematic with all those weird numbers.
we're supposed to be in the purple tier, into the red tier within the next couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
And so if it, depending on what you all want to do, if I think the council might end up meeting in person, at least council not having public in because we don't have enough room in the train
Yeah.
depot. But so
Uh-huh.
we might end up doing that for the, I doubt that we'll do it in March, but we might do it in April.
Okay,
So because our meeting
Yeah.
is, council meeting is within the next couple of weeks. So,
all right.
but on the planning commission side, probably maybe March. It's up to you guys, however you want to do it.
Okay, well, we can throw that on at the end of the meeting because I'd like to move in that direction for sure. I don't know how many people have their shots, but the more and more people are getting them.
Jean, were you able to get your vaccines?
I got mine, Gene.
The 2?
Get a hit, unmute, Gene.
Okay, unmute yourself, Dean.
Got to unmute yourself, Gene. There you go.
Okay. Did it
There you
work?
go.
There,
All right.
there you go.
I've had one and I get my second one on March 13th.
Good.
Ralph had his first one a week later, but I got Moderna and he got Pfizer, so we both go back the same day because it's one's 3 weeks and one's 4.
That works.
Did you get them both at the same place?
Not the
Or do you go
same
to
day.
two? But you went to the same place though.
It was Kaiser and was Sierra College cafeteria, which is very handy for us
Huh.
and not crowded or anything. No parking problems.
Yeah. That's interesting though that you got the Moderna and he got the Pfizer one, even though you got them at the same place. Even though, I mean, they are a week apart, but I would have thought that they would at least have the same,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The
I think it
Because-
depends. It
No, the-
depends on what they get in that week.
Yeah. Even over at the grounds, you know, and again, you have to get your second dose with the same, you know, vaccine that you had for the first dose. And so if you go to the grounds, they'll have two different lines, one for Moderna, one for Pfizer. So
Right.
it's definitely made it complicated.
It was very efficiently run. And I kept going online. You keep trying and trying and trying. Then all of a sudden it says, you know, eligible. And my appointment was like a day and a half later. So
Oh,
that was interesting. You try and try and try and you can't get in. And then all of a sudden, yes.
yeah, I know there was a bottleneck for supply. And so I think we'll start seeing it scale up pretty quickly now. Fingers crossed.
So how about any of the rest of you?
Yeah, I got mine, Gene.
Both of them?
Yeah. I got mine on the second week after it came out because I work at the hospital.
Oh,
So they put us up the top. You know, I had the Pfizer and I had no reaction whatsoever. So it went on either shot. So it was easy.
So I hung up from Mike Hogan and he was just kind of logging on, so I'm surprised he's not here yet.
Yeah,
but
he just got on.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
good.
Thank you.
All right. I see a muted mic. You can unmute yourself, Mike.
Unmute. I'm getting
good.
closer.
All right. I think we're good enough. We don't have your picture, but I think we can live without that, huh?
Well, yeah, you're not missing much, but I'll find the picture here.
I know you
before
had
I'm
your
done.
hair.
Here we go. Here it is.
You had your hair combed and all gussied up. Oh,
Not
there
really.
you
I
go.
was late. I was late getting home.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
So,
ready to go now.
all right. I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. So we want to all you stand or whatever and pledge allegiance to the flag.
Hey.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
and to the republic for which it stands,
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
one
One
nation,
nation
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay.
with liberty and justice.
So I guess there's some time delays from a little awkward. Roll call, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Hogan,
Here.
Commissioner Kelly, absent. Commissioner Linden,
here,
Commissioner Wilson,
here.
Chairman Obranovich.
Present here. Okay, we'll start the meeting off on the first part on the agenda. It says public comment procedure. So basically, there's a lot of instructions on the agenda about how to attach to Zoom and this, that, and the other. And it's a little bit pointless to read it because you're not going to hear it unless you're already on Zoom. So suffice it to say that if you're on Zoom, I think what's most important is that we will follow the format for the public meeting as we always have. And as it applies to the general public, there are several opportunities for public comment. And for this, we will use the raise the hand feature. So you push the button on your device. And I think Sean is moderating this. And so when he sees the raise your hand, then at the appropriate point, we'll go ahead and call on you for the comment. So again, just as a reminder, public comment is for 3 minutes. The first opportunity for public comment will be for items that are not on the agenda. And then after that, there will be several other, I guess, 2 other public comment periods for each agenda item as we proceed through the meeting. So with that, okay, are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? See anything, Sean?
Not yet. There is a delay for folks who are watching on YouTube, so we'll need to wait a little bit for it to catch up.
Sure.
So if you're
Yeah,
you're watching on YouTube and then you're also participating via Zoom, you'll need to comment through the Zoom, not through YouTube. We don't do the public comments through YouTube. So hit the button at the bottom of the screen for the raise your hand feature. If you're calling through by phone, which it doesn't look like we have anybody, but if you are, you'd hit *9 to raise your hand for public comments.
okay. And I don't think we're so rigid that if somebody shows up because of technical issues, they're kind of late on the draw here, we could probably fit them in, huh, Sean?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. So anyway, so we'll go ahead and move along. And next is the, so at this point, seeing no public comment, we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. So if any planning commissioners have any discussion about the agenda, otherwise, we'd like to have a motion to accept the agenda for this evening.
I so move. Jean.
Second.
Okay, we got a first and a second. Roll call, please. So,
Okay,
roll,
Commissioner Hogan,
Yes,
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner London,
Yes.
Chairman Abranovich.
yes. Okay, so next would be public comment on the consent agenda. So under the consent agenda this evening, we have project status report update, October 27, 2020 draft minutes, and then the January 2021 general plan update status report. Any public comment on consent agenda?
Give it a couple seconds for the
Yeah. we'll get
anybody
a-
on YouTube to catch up.
Yeah.
I'm having some computer issues, but I think if I turn off my video,
Yeah.
it'll speed me up. So if I have something to say, I'll turn off the video and say it. And then otherwise, I'll just keep hooked in.
Yeah,
I guess
sounds
I'm
good.
on the end of the line here.
Your
Which-
pledge of allegiance was kind of way behind everybody, I think. That
still
was the
learning
tip
it.
off, Michael. I thought
Oh
maybe
my
you were
gosh.
listening, hearing us and then reciting after us or something, but that's.
And then
Okay.
logging on was, I had a heart attack going, let's just say. Mary
I had some
Beth was
issues.
good enough to instantly check her email and help me out.
Yeah. Okay, so not seeing any public comment at this point. Do we have a motion for consent agenda? Unless there's comments from planning commission.
Yeah, I did have one question, and actually, I might needed to have this before we approve the minutes, but it wasn't about the minutes. It was actually two questions that were asked in public comment the last time in October. And I think that they kind of go along with the general plan update, but the first one was with David Ring. And he asked about the status of the general plan update survey and whatever happened with the Parks and Rec master plan, was it ever adopted? That was David's question. And then Sonia Kupler, she had asked if the town's mission statement would be incorporated into the vision statements within the general plan elements. And so I didn't know if maybe there were some responses for that or some answers.
Carol, do you know were those answered in the minutes?
In the minutes, they're not answered in the minutes, it's just the minutes were action minutes.
Okay,
David Ring asked about the
survey.
Parks and Rec being adopted, which it wasn't. And the rest of it was part of a discussion, but not a per se, since they're not
answer
action
it.
items.
In terms of the survey, just quickly, and Mary Beth probably has a better update on this than me, but I know that we are putting together a survey. It's being done through PlaceWorks, who's working on the housing element. There's going to be one survey specific to that, and then there'll be multiple surveys coming out for individual elements as well. So folks will need to watch those. And can you talk about the point thing, the website tool, Mary Beth?
Yes, what we're looking at, that'll be an excellent tool for our general plan update. Is called a social pinpoint application software that is very interactive with not only the committee members, but the public. I think one of the best descriptions I can use to describe it at this time is if we did a town, we'd have a town map, and let's say somebody sees a pothole, they could go directly from our website to the social pinpoint platform, drop a pin on that location, make a comment, that automatically goes to Public Works, that now knows there's a pothole that needs to be repaired at this location. For the general plan update, as people have comments, suggestions, whatever, if it's land use, let's say it's zoning, and they want to see something else in a CC district, they can, push a pin, stick a pin in the CC district, make their comment, and that will carry forward through everything related to the CC district in land use and et cetera, and keep all of these things available for the public. So let's say you went on there last week and you made a note about a pothole. You go there the next week to see what happened with that pothole. Once it's repaired, Public Works will be able to say, yep, it was repaired on this and such date. And that comment will always stay there with that action. If somebody else comments on that same thing, it will just add to that. So it's a really good home base for all of our comments. Right now, we're doing it very manually. You fill out a piece of paper, it comes to the desk, we log it into a spreadsheet, classify it by whether it's housing element, land use, circulation. So that comment goes in all three places. We will be able to take that one comment and apply it to all areas that are applicable to that. So we just purchased it and are learning the software. We will be within the next week or so. So we hope to have that up and on board at this time, probably by the 1st of May, to get it up and running for public access committee, everybody. Even if staff has a comment about something and it's related to the general plan element, let's say it's housing, we can go out there and post our little comment and everybody will see it and they'll stay in chronological order that way. So
Okay.
stay tuned. It's a good thing coming.
So would we need to, oh, never mind.
You're good. Your turn on.
Oh, okay. Would we need to, if you put a pinpoint there and let's say that your comment pertains to 3 different committees or subcommittees, will it pick out those 3 or would we click on, we want it to go to A, B, and C?
No, we would, as staff, we would see your comment and go, oh, that also relates to this and this and this, and copy it to all the specific places it needs to go. But we won't have to type it in or cut and paste it and do all of that kind of stuff. It'll really streamline where we're going in the future. And, in the long run, the application for potholes, repairs, streetlights, all of those things. As we get so many, say, folders with what we purchased, and there's 20. We have 11 general plan committees. The subcommittees also take up some room in there. So just for the general plan update, I think we end up with 1 extra, which will probably start for Public Works and those kind of, what people see on the street kind of thing, that they can go in and start tagging things on that map unrelated to the general plan update. As the general plan update goes forward, annually with our subscription, say we're done with environmental justice, we're done with housing, those 2 matters would come off and it would free something else up, say for, playgrounds or parks or, something happening at the skate park. There's a lot of creative solutions we can do for that out there. And if you write, it's called Social Pinpoint, and you can check it out online, and they give some little demos on how other jurisdictions are doing it. And we're able to kind of mirror some of the ones that we like best, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel and get it up and running pretty expeditiously. Really good tool.
Okay. So can we go ahead and move on and approve the consent agenda?
There's one more, there is one comment that came in for a public comment.
Okay.
For Chairman Hanford, what's it? And Blake, you're turned on. You just need to unmute yourself.
I'm having a hard time hearing Mary Beth. She keeps coming in and out, so I don't know if anybody else is having the same problem, but she's coming through really scratchy in and out. Or other people, can you hear her?
It's scratchy.
Yeah, there's static. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not, so everybody's hearing the same thing.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I just changed one of my
There you go.
little, I clicked on something. Is that better?
That's much better.
Oh, much better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comment, Sean, up there? That's it?
That's it.
All right. So can we go ahead and we'll have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move.
I second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Okay, we've got Commissioner London,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hogan,
Yes.
Chairman Obranovich.
Yes. Okay, so next item is number 4 on the business item. This will open the public meeting for the Homewood Lumber Modification of Conditional Use Permit from number 10-4, condition of approval number 37, which was from, what, 10 years ago? So it's kind of an update. So Mary Beth, I'll let you go ahead and staff report, please.
Certainly. Good evening, commissioners. Welcome. What we're asking for you to do tonight is conduct a public hearing, adopt a resolution of approval of a revised condition of approval number 37 as it relates to Homewood Lumber's ingress and egress off of Sierra College Boulevard and Brace Road. As Greg indicated, their original use permit was approved in May of 2007, and they received an extension under the Planning Commission resolution we referred to at that subject of 10-04, which was approved on June 15th of 2010. At this time, Homewood Lumber, Brace Taylor LLC is the owner, and town staff would like you to consider revision of the existing language of condition of approval number 37 to improve and define the ingress and egress associated from Sierra College Boulevard and Brace Road to the Homewood Lumber site. The existing condition of approval is stated as delivery trucks for this use shall use Sierra College Boulevard and have limited use of Brace Road. No use of Brace Road east of the site by delivery trucks is permitted with this permit unless involved in a local delivery. So, you know, we look at that and between the property owners and staff, that language seemed a little ambiguous and open to interpretation. So we met with the property owners and revised that condition for your review to more define the things that we didn't like in the original condition was have limited use of Brace Road. That was kind of open-ended and ambiguous. You know, is that 1 truck a day, 2, 5, 10? We felt that statement there left it open for somebody to complain that there's more than 1 truck going down the road, and that really didn't work. So to take that ambiguousness out of it as far as limited use. And then no use of Brace Road east of the site by delivery trucks is permitted unless in, oh no, that one kind of stayed. We don't want trucks going east out of the Brace Road exit because of the creek down the road has weight limits and all of that. It is posted on Brace Road, but local delivery, we maintain that in there as a condition. Our terminology for local delivery is not a semi-truck. So the lumber side or the door shop has a smaller truck that can meet the requirements of the road are still permitted to go down there. So the revised language that is being proposed is the Sierra College Boulevard entrance to the property shall be used for all delivery trucks that are 1, traveling northbound on Sierra College Boulevard or eastbound on Brace Road to reach the property, which means vehicles coming eastbound to Sierra College could still use that entrance. That eastbound travel would not be used by semi-trucks. They can't come from that way. So it's not really specifying big trucks or little trucks. It kind of leaves it back on the delivery drivers to follow the posted signs for the road they're traveling on. Or 2, exiting, and that's a correction, as it's spelled in the staff report, it's existing. So that would be a correction to exiting the property and proceeding northbound on Sierra College Boulevard. So that means they could go out of the Sierra College Boulevard exit and turn right to go north. So that gives them both access south and north on Sierra College Boulevard. The Brace Road entrance to the property may only be used by delivery trucks. 1, if they are traveling southbound on Sierra College Boulevard. So if you're coming from the southbound direction, say from Taylor Road, trying to get into Homewood, you would make a left turn at that intersection of Brace Road, go up the street and turn left into the Homewood site. So that's number 1. Or number 2, they would continue westbound on Brace Road beyond the Brace Road Sierra College Boulevard intersection. Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't a 2, that was a continuation. So let me read that last part again in totality. The Brace Road entrance to the property may only be used by delivery trucks. 1, if they are traveling southbound on Sierra College Boulevard. And 2, continuing westbound on Brace Road beyond the Brace Road Sierra College intersection. Period. So again, if somebody is coming eastbound or westbound on Brace, God, I can't read this. Yeah, continuing westbound on Brace beyond the Brace Road Sierra College Boulevard intersection. Period. Delivery trucks may only use Brace Road east of the property for local deliveries. All turning movements onto Sierra College Boulevard or Brace Road shall be conducted in a safe manner and in compliance with applicable state and local laws. And that leaves it up to the driver of the vehicle that's entering and exiting to make proper turning movements in accordance with local and state laws. This seems to have been a problem over the years with the original condition, and it has been confusing regarding the limited use. And we feel the revised condition captures the intent of the original condition while providing better specificity concerning the Brace Road entrance and exit and how it can be used. Staff recommends Planning Commission approval of resolution number 2101 to revise conditional use permit condition of approval number 37. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. So any questions?
Yeah, I had a question.
Go ahead. Yep.
Caroline. So any other trucks coming down Sierra College and turning eastbound on Brace, there's nothing done about those trucks, correct? Like if, say it's a truck from Walmart on the other side of the freeway. It's not posted as not a truck route. So this is a condition of approval on that trucks from that property only. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
This
That
is,
seems like an odd condition of approval.
That's
Because-
the legalese attorneys had their way with it.
Okay.
Well, that was something that was conceived, over 10 years ago for that
I remember.
specific project. And now we got Costco into the mix. And it is, I get your point, Mike. I had the same thought. Maybe it's might be inconsistent because you got a condition for one property, but not the other. But I think we've already have the conditions already set for Costco. They have their own conditions, and their conditions also address some of the issues about traffic. And it may not be exactly the same, but it does address their issues, and Homewood has addressed theirs. And because maybe you might argue that they're on the opposite sides of the street, therefore there's some differences. I don't know, but I think that's kind of the history, and that's where we are with it.
I guess my question would be, can you maybe?
Yeah, it's a strange condition. I'm sorry, go ahead, Bonnie.
I was just curious what kind of problems have been occurring.
The original discussion came about during the Costco project, and we were meeting it on site. The town engineer, planning consultant, and myself, we met on site with the apartment owner. And, we were looking at the right turn in only to the Costco site. And Adam Norami, Grace Taylor LLC, was out there, and he engaged in our conversation. He was concerned about the traffic movements on Brace Road and limited that the Costco project was going to limit that access in one way or another. And when we stood there, we were looking at the pavement, and you could see trucks turning out of Homewood Lumber and had to go wider and by their turning radius out of Homewood, so they would be going westbound on Brace, actually crossed into oncoming traffic. So that kind of started the discussion of the widening of that intersection, being from Brace to Sierra College at the Homewood site. That intersection portion will get widened in order to accommodate incoming traffic into Costco. They were proposing a median, and Grace Taylor was concerned that median was going to be a problem for their trucks turning out. And, the height of the median, how far it came back to their driveway, and kind of making it impossible for trucks to exit out of there. And that conversation, the result of that, we were able to lower the height of the median. So if a truck happens to hit it as they're exiting, it wouldn't be a whole curve. It would just be a raised median. And we are also able to push it back to give that vehicle more turning access. But what it brought to our attention too is the liability if a truck comes out of there and hits an oncoming car, a car going eastbound on Brace, and all of a sudden you have a collision. The condition as it's stated kind of left the city a little open for being that it wasn't really strict or hard, and that is the reasoning why the the vehicle drivers have to remain compliant with the applicable state and local laws. So they're required to make proper turning movements, but we were trying to address the issues and get things squared away. So that's when this first came up, was back in June. And we finally worked with the owners, and the attorneys worked with the attorneys, and we were able to revise this condition. We know at this point that the property is up for sale. And the best thing about making this condition change now is that it will carry forward. All of the conditions will carry forward in the revised use permit. If it's anything other than a lumber shop or a door shop, they're gonna have to, the new owner will have to come in for a use permit where we'll reevaluate these things and make sure they understand them.
Okay. All right. Unless there's any other comments from the commission, is there anybody from the Homewood site, I guess, to address? Go ahead, Jean.
Okay, I did talk to Mary Beth about this some this afternoon. And I don't live that far from this intersection and go through it all the time, so I'm fairly familiar with it. And to me, some of this didn't make sense. There's an assumption that you can go through that intersection brace, that you can cross that intersection and travel further west. And the other direction, it makes an assumption that you can travel from Taylor on Brace over to through Sierra College Boulevard. You can't go through there currently. It's blocked off. All you can do is right turn in, right turn out. And so this language I thought was confusing when it refers to doing something that you can't currently do. And apparently Mary Beth ran that by Jeff, our lawyer, and he said it didn't matter if you can't do it now, maybe you can do it in the future. So we need to assume that you're going to be able to do it. And to me, that seems kind of strange to base this on a condition that might or might not ever occur in the future. Knowing the intersection and why it was blocked off in the first place, I find that less likely that it will happen. And so you have language here that is supposing a condition that does not currently exist, and we have no idea whether it would ever exist in the future, but that's what Jeff thought we should do. I think it's confusing. And one of my other concerns is we're trying to protect the town in this. I assume that's the main reason for doing this, as well as giving specific instructions for the owner, the new one or the old one. One of my particular concerns is for the bridge at, if you continue on Brace eastward, there's a big dip and it goes down to Secret Ravine and is crossed by our old WPA bridge. It's a nice, pretty bridge. It's got weight limits on it. There's a sign that has, the 3 axle kind of truck pictures and the weights. And I just hope that it's sufficient to say that you have to do these things in a safe manner with applicable state and local laws, because I hope somebody figures that out before they take a truck down there either direction and find that they can't cross that bridge or they can't legally cross that bridge. So if we're trying to not just protect the town from lawsuits, but also protect our bridge, I guess I would have liked to have seen some reference to that in here, even if it was something as small as after state and local laws saying including bridge load limits or something like that. Jeff, our lawyer, doesn't think it's necessary, that it's up to the building, the business owner to make sure that their trucks all know about that and nobody comes in or out crossing that bridge. Unfortunately, because there's no place, once they get down there, there's no place for them to turn around. They're going to have to back up the hill, both directions, either direction. So I think this is written in a confusing way. It's been approved by the lawyers, though.
Yeah, Gene, I think the lawyers can kind of step in on this. The onus of not bringing a vehicle, an oversized vehicle down there would be part of somebody that's got a class 1 or 2 license. And they're supposed to be aware of the rules and regulations, because these situations exist all over the country where a truck can, make an errant turn and wander down a road where they don't belong. So it's kind of hard to condition one particular bridge where these situations exist everywhere. Does that make sense? So I think it's kind of, to write a condition for a specific bridge does that make sense? Does that answer your help a little bit?
Yes, I wasn't going to say for a specific bridge. I was just going to say including bridge weight limits or something like that. But
Okay. Well, that's just my.
But but Jeff likes it the way it is. I think it's confusing, but that's the way it is.
All right. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Mary Beth, is there anybody? I can't see the attendance list, and I didn't notice anybody from the applicant or from Homewood. Is there anybody from Homewood that wants to address this issue, that property?
I defer to Sean. He's the host.
I don't see anybody on there I don't see anybody from Homewood. I mean, you do need to open it up for public comment, obviously.
Yeah, right.
But I don't see anybody specific from Homewood.
Okay, so next would be then public comment. Do we have any public comment on that?
So if you're listening on Zoom, you'll need to hit that raise your hand button on the bottom. If you're calling in, I don't see anybody on the phone, but if you are, you'd hit *9 if you are calling in on a phone. I'll give it a couple of minutes, Mr. Chairman, to let the YouTube folks catch up as well.
Yeah, you bet. Is it actually a couple minute delay?
No, it's about 20 seconds. It is about 20 seconds though.
All right. Oh yeah, I'll give you.
And I don't see anybody raising their hand, sir.
Okay. All right. So we'll move along. We'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion. And if there is none, then we'll go ahead and call for a motion for resolution 2101. Any other comments?
Yeah, I have some. I don't like this condition of approval at all, because I could drive my dump truck down Brace Road as long as I don't break that load limit. But if the truck comes out of Homewood Lumber, that's different. Now, how is that supposed to be enforced by either the town can't enforce it? It would be a moving violation on the truck driver. And you can't just write a ticket to the truck driver from Homewood, because other people are allowed to drive down the road eastbound from Sierra College Boulevard. So I wish it never existed in the first place. I don't see how it could even all I can see is the town ends up in the middle of people that want this enforced and a business who says, you can't make me do that. And that's not a good place for the town to be. But I don't know that there's anything we can do about it at this point.
I think
This modification does clarify. It's very complicated and wordy, but it clarifies the prior condition of approval. But it's just another mistake added to an original mistake, what I think, because you can't call the highway patrol and say, hey, commercial trucks are driving down my road. They're not supposed to. He doesn't have the ordinance or anything to go by.
I think
what's he supposed to do? I don't know. Go ahead.
I think a lot of those conditions were generated based on local residents' concerns. And that's kind of why we have that. They wanted to kind of control that traffic from that site. specifically to prevent people going down through the stop sign and up over the bridge as a normal course of business. They wanted to avert that. They keep that traffic out of that neighborhood area. I think that was kind
I
of.
understand. I just feel like.
And that's why it kind of got the way it is.
Well, I just feel like Brace Road's a public road except for you. You know, and pick your victim. It's going to be Costco. It's going to be Homewood. But if Walmart comes from across the freeway in Rockland, that's okay. So I don't know. It's a bad condition, but I won't.
Okay.
I'm not going to say don't approve it, I guess.
All right. Well, I don't know if the attorney had anything to weigh in on this, or maybe not, but.
I'd be happy to add a little bit if you'd like. First of all, it was Jeff who did all the negotiating and drafting on this one, so I will add to pushing him under the bus as far as the specific language we see here tonight. And as far as the enforcement of this is, I think Mary Beth already touched on it, and our chair discussed it a little bit, is this is trying to not solve all of the traffic problems along Brace Road. This is really trying to limit the amount of traffic going down Brace Road that would be generated from Homewood. And it's my understanding from being tangentially involved in this is that there's been, over the last 12 years of this conditional use permit, some issues with traffic that was generated by Homewood. So with this CUP and with this condition, we're trying to control what's within our control. And the example of the Walmart truck coming from Rockland, that's not something that's within our control here. So we're just trying to lessen the impact on the residents there as best as we can. And clarifying this condition is one effort to do that.
Yeah, I almost think if you were to change it significantly, you'd almost have to notice all the residences, because they're the ones who, propagated this to begin with. And I don't think we want to go there. All right. All right, thank you, everybody. So, okay, it looks like we're at the point. I don't see any definite changes to the condition. I think it looks like we're kind of in agreement to accept it reluctantly, maybe as it is. But given that, could we move for a motion? It's either that or we table it and discuss it further.
I so move.
We have a first. We have a second. So we can have the motion die for lack of a second, or chair can make the second. And then maybe we'll take a vote. And we do have we've got 5 commissioners here. So we should be able to kind of settle that. So I'll go ahead and make the second. And that we approve the adopt resolution 2101, approving the modification of conditional use permit 10041, condition of approval number 37 for the Brace Taylor Road, et cetera. Okay, so we have a first and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner London.
So I would like, it sounds like I think there needs to be a little bit more discussion so that, I'd like to understand, I think, the problem a little bit more specifically about, is this because of resident complaints? Has there been a significant amount of traffic that's been going on Brace? My understanding, listening to Mary Beth, was this was more of a technicality to, I think, protect the town from some liability. But I'm not sure that that's actually what Andrea said. So I guess I'm a little confused and need a little bit more information.
So is that a no?
That's a no.
If I can clarify my comment here, Chair.
Yes, please.
It's my understanding that this was brought up as there had been confusion interpreting the existing condition in the past, when there had been some questions about what traffic is allowed. not that there is some major problem with the amount of traffic. And again, it was Jeff who was the one that was involved in these discussions, not me. So you're getting it third hand from me as to what the causes of the issue here were. So I definitely defer to Mary Beth's description of the issue rather than taking it from me what the root of the problem is here.
Okay.
So Bonnie, are you a no?
I'm a no until I think, again, there's a little more clarity. So Mary Beth, so is this because it's more of a technicality to protect the town from liability?
Correct.
Okay. In that case, then I'm a yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, please.
Yes.
I'm a yes.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay.
Commissioner Wilson?
I understand the purpose. I think it's poorly written and is confusing, and maybe it meets the technical legalese that is needed, but I don't think it's well written, and I'm reluctant to put something in that is not clear and well written. So a reluctant no.
Commissioner Hogan?
No, it's not a reluctant no.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
Chairman Obranovich?
Yes. So I think we have 3-2, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so motion passes. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, the item on the, so that public, this public meeting for that item is closed. We'll now open the public meeting for the next item, number 4, which is number 21-01, Ace Hardware Annex Use Permit and Design Review. You want to go ahead, Mary Beth, staff report, please?
You betcha. What you have in front of you at this time is a conditional use permit design review application for Loomis Ace Hardware. Their existing building is at 3690 Taylor Road. This use permit design review is to place a metal annex type in storage type facility on the vacant town-owned parcel at the southwest corner of Walnut Street. It's at the end of the cul-de-sac. So Blue Acre Park is on the right side of that parcel. You have the cul-de-sac, and this would go in the southwest corner of that same town-owned lot. Loomis Ace Hardware opened in 2020, November 10th. And really has seen an increase in business. Their corporate sales were very pleased at what happened over Christmas and everything, but their biggest problem at this time is the number of deliveries that they can receive from Ace Hardware on a daily basis, and then also the circulation between the customers that are coming and going there. Right now they have a little temporary pod type trailer taking up a couple of parking spaces on the Walnut Street side, and that pod unit will go away, and they will construct this new building, which, you know, it kind of came together rather quickly. We have a couple of, there's a hand drawing in it showing what it'll look like, and then also a couple of pictures of real life ones. And they would be able to, 2,100 square feet is what they're proposing, and they'd be able to house a lot of stuff in there. There's no sales that'll take place out of there. All the sales come out of their Taylor Road business address. By doing that, they will need to enter a lease agreement, a property lease agreement with the town of Loomis, and staff anticipates that going to the town council at their March meeting for approval. So those kind of details still need to be worked out. Not really part of this. This is more of the actual use and design review. The whole parcel, if you take it in totality, is almost an acre. And it has the skate park and parking and all of those kinds of things. And so this building would be offset from the skate park and have no interaction with the happenings that are happening in the park. So a good use there. The existing site was recently the home of a stage, a vacant stage that the town took down and has disassembled it and stored it for future location. Once the stage was removed, the area was graded and paved. There's still a little extra grading that'll need to be done off of the existing end of the pavement closer to the chain link fence on the Union Pacific parcel. This building would actually go as far over as it could to that railroad line. And then on the side that you look at as you're coming down Walnut Street, they're proposing mandarin trees, mandarin orange trees. You know, there's pavement there now. So my guess is they would be container type trees and aesthetics, and the side light windows for lighting on the interior. Roll up or door, large door on the front to receive deliveries, and a man door for employee access only. It's only employees that will be going in and out of there.
Okay. Great.
I think it's important to stress, I personally like their sketch drawing as opposed to the photo examples they provided, but I think a blend in between there, if you look on page 8, like the red building is good if it was muted and not just totally stood out. But the other one doesn't look like it has enough flair to me to be a downtown business, but they are proposing a painted on graphic of some sort for signage and call it an annex. There's no lighting, there's no electricity, water or sewer required to that building. So it will just be housing inventory and only used by employees. So solar tubes for lights that come through the roof, the windows along the side, and of course, when they roll up the door or open barn doors, I'm not sure how that would work. But that would also increase the lighting in there. No heating, no anything. But if at some point, like, you know, building code's going to dictate, building code and fire department will dictate if the building needs to receive fire sprinklers and have fire suppression available. So if that were to happen, then of course they would have to at least put in water to provide that service to the building based on existing codes. There was a question about how they transport stuff from the annex to their existing facility. And it made me think, and I think it would be important to add a condition of approval that says something like no forklifts going down Walnut Street, all merchandise from point A to point B will be done by hand truck following the safe pedestrian path of travel, just to eliminate that conflict with cars. People do come in and out of that way. A lot of, I've observed many people taking the one-way into the park from that area. So there are some things that I think an additional condition like that could be added to better define how merchandise gets moved from point A to B.
Okay. Okay, is that it? You
In a nutshell,
that?
yeah.
All right, no, that's good. Thank you.
Can I add
So,
a couple things, Mr. Chairman? Just
Yeah, you bet. Go ahead, Sean.
a little bit of flavor to, so I originally had this conversation with the property owner, with the business owner, to give you an idea. I think most people know how busy that store is, but to give you an idea, their December projection from the Ace Hardware corporate people was they were supposed to do about 45,000 that month. They ended up doing about 215 or 220,000. So they're just going gangbusters on the sales side, and they just frankly don't have enough room. So he approached the town looking for the possibility of putting some sort of a building over there. And he still needs to go to council on the lease agreement and figure out those terms to basically do a ground lease. The ground lease, one of the terms is going to be that it'll probably be a 90-day notice, or maybe I don't know what that, probably maybe 90 days, 6 months or something like that. Notice of termination. And at the end of that, if we do terminate or if they leave, then the property would need to get put back to its original condition, which means that it would be any slab would need to be taken out, building would need to be removed, and it would be taken back to the natural condition that it's in now, natural, because it has been graded before. But so that'll be a condition for sure. The other thing that Mary Beth talked about, the mandarin trees, those will be container trees along the side of the building. He's going to put them in containers along the paved area there. We don't have parking spaces designated there yet, so they're not striped. So there's not going to be like, not enough room between the container tree and a car door opening because they're not demarcated yet. Sooner or later we'll get there, but we haven't done that yet. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is I've had discussions with him about putting a fruit shed label along the side somehow to kind of tie in that fruit shed look and keep with the branding of the town. So you'd have a little bit of that kind of breaking up the one side, even with on top of having the mandarin trees there. So that didn't make it into the packet, it looks like, but that is something that I've talked to him about, and I would assume that that's a condition that the commission could place on it as well. So I
Okay,
just wanted to give a little bit more background on the discussion that I've had with him.
so we have two potential conditions, one to add some artwork to the side of the building, and another one that Mary Beth kind of has in her mind about the forklifts and crossing, how they're going to access that building. Because I walked out that area also, and was my concern, is if they were to shortcut across from the building straight to the store, they'd be cutting right across that through the middle of the circle, which even though there's not a lot of traffic, there is traffic, and it is, a traffic area. So I'm not sure how to address that. Ideally, if they had a hand truck, they kind of walk around the circle. It's kind of the long way, and the temptation, of course, it's a shortcut. And I don't know if there's a potential for another quick crosswalk painted there where the circle ends and it kind of narrows down into the road. That would make it quicker for them. Or those are just some thoughts. And I think Mary Beth had intended to craft something to address some of those issues.
One of the things that I talked to him about was, I don't know how much traffic there would be with workers taking stuff back and forth between the store. I think one of the things he's talked to me about is like livestock trucks, right? They have livestock trucks that people want to buy here, and they don't have enough room in the store to store them because they're too big. Or horse fencing is another one. So they've got some stuck in that little pod thing, but it's not big enough. And so I think the idea is that a lot of that bigger inventory they'll keep over in the Annex building. You buy it at the store, but then you pick it up over at the inside the cul-de-sac, or it'd be at the cul-de-sac. So you have a truck, you'd load it up there
in the parking lot,
right?
Load it up in the parking lot,
right? Not taking it back and forth.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
that'd help.
I'm sure that there would be some back and forth movement, but the idea would be to put the bigger stuff over there to keep it out of the main store, so they're not taking up the space in the store with those bigger items that they don't have room for.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Are there other items? Are there other items that are too big to do on the hand truck? I don't know, like some of the barbecue and things like those seem pretty big if they're storing those in there, but
yeah, I actually asked them about that. They take those barbecues in and line them up in the aisles at the end of the day. And then in the morning, they take them out. So they spend probably about at least a half hour moving stuff in and out. They're not intending to keep those. They might put like backstock over there, but he wants to keep those barbecues along the building there because it draws people's eye to it, especially the big green egg ones, because they're so bright and colorful. One of the big things he was talking to me about that would end up being over there is bags of cement. So they can handle like maybe like a half of a pallet, and then they'll break, that kind of stuff. And so he would store bags of cement over there. People are buying everything that most folks would go to Home Depot or Lowe's for. They're trying to stock a little bit of that here, and so they want to keep as much of it, that bigger stuff, over in the Annex building and not in the main store. Obviously, you don't want a bag of cement sitting around in there.
Do you know if they're looking at garden supply stuff like the pallets that my Ace Hardware has been Roseville? Ralph's is no, mine is Grenna Bay, his is Roseville, and we're both transferring our loyalty to this one, which we love. Do you know if they're planning to do any garden supply, like you know, the bags of and where would they
Soil?
be then?
It would end up being in the Annex building, because it can't, so like bags of soil or fertilizer, they don't want to keep those in the main building. They want to put them, and they don't have anywhere right now other than in the little pod thing that they have in the front there. So they'll end up putting that stuff over there. But you would go to the main store, because they're not going to have electricity to do, you know, have a point of sale in the little Annex building. So buy the stuff over at the main building. Somebody would probably be stationed over at the Annex, and then up to the back of your truck, basically. Also,
So
they're looking at doing curbside delivery out of that Annex building too. So instead of having to come into the Ace Hardware, if you know what you want, buy it online, and then it's set up curbside, and then somebody will take it out to your car and deliver it to your car for you.
So they would have like a sample bag of each kind of fertilizer and soil and all that. Someplace at the store, you'd look at it there, and then go.
Probably have a picture of it. You know, like I don't think that they would have a sample bag, but I'm sure they'd have some sort of a picture, or take people over and show them what they have over there. There would be pedestrian traffic going back and forth, obviously, but I don't think that they're going to be taking merchandise. So the need for a hand, I'm sure that they will take some, but the need for a hand truck to take big stuff from one side of the main building over to the Annex, or from the Annex to the main building, I don't think they're going to be taking a bunch of inventory back and forth. There will be pedestrian traffic going back and forth, though.
So customers would go in to look at to get stuff in there, or not?
I don't know. I doubt that they would let them like actually inside, because it is going to be mostly storage, but they would pick up their stuff there.
They bring it out to you.
Right.
Do we know how many times their big trucks come to deliver these kind of things for them? And would they, is that going to be an issue with them loading and unloading a lot?
I think right now they're doing maybe 1 or 2 deliveries a day at the most. And I think it's usually 1, because I don't really see a whole bunch of big trucks there like throughout the day. They come earlier, but they're coming because they don't have enough inventory space. I think the idea would be, not only would they be able to have more backstock and larger items, but hopefully the deliveries would decrease a little bit as well. I don't know the answer to that 100%, but if they've got more room, I'm assuming they'll be able to stock more, with hopefully have the bigger trucks coming through.
Yeah, I also if I don't know what color they're planning on doing this building, but will we see that before they decide? Will we have a say in what it looks like, or it's a done deal once we say yes to this?
I think the design review for today is to kind of tell them what you want them to do. If you have a preference on the color, I would make that preference known, and then we'll tell them. The steel buildings, you can get them in pretty much any color. I talked to them about doing sort of a beigeish color, so it would match the U.S. Bank building with a green roof that would match the roof over at the park over the picnic area. There's a kind of a Kelly, it's kind of like a Kelly green roof over there. So kind of tie both of those buildings together in the Annex building.
And then I know I talked to Mary Beth a little bit about my just the security concerns over there, and she told me that they're going to have that covered with cameras at the original Ace Hardware facing that way. But because of the park, just where it's at, and graffiti, if graffiti ends up on the building, the town doesn't pay to have that fixed. Nope. They would pay to have that fixed.
Yep.
And things like that. Okay.
Right.
Right. What is the current size of the store?
It's 5,000 square feet.
That one's 5,000. So they want to
Yeah.
add another 2,000. And then just curious, did they look at other options? I mean, across the street, you've got Main Drug that's vacant. I mean, it sounds like they need a larger space because they're doing so well, which is, fantastic. And I mean, and that's during a COVID when they just opened.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm wondering if, again, they might be looking at upsizing to something. And then did you say that Homewood is for sale? I mean, what is the size of Homewood?
Homewood is, I have no idea, but it's far bigger than what they would actually need.
Yeah.
And it's also $6 million for sale. The Main Street Drug Building across the street, he has apparently approached Gordy Takamoto to potentially do something over there. I don't know where those negotiations are, but I would hate to have Main Street Drug be turned into a storage, basically a storage facility. He's looked at, I mean, unfortunately, having the size of the building is constrictive, right? Small, 5,000 square feet. And if he's going to go somewhere else to get a bigger footprint, he's going to end up leaving downtown. And so from an economic development standpoint, having a business that's bringing foot traffic in, a lot of foot traffic, and then creating that synergistic effect with the other businesses when COVID eases up. So you come into the hardware store in the morning, then you go to Ugly Mug for breakfast, or you come in the afternoon and you go to the brew pub, or you go to whatever for lunch. Having those businesses that feed off of each other is really critical. And so I would hate to see that business go somewhere else because they need 2,000 square feet. That would be a shame to have that, that business that's really right now is kind of an anchor to downtown and really is kind of bringing up downtown for us. So I don't know if he's looked anywhere else. I didn't ask him that because I don't want him to leave.
Yeah,
Honestly.
he may want a bigger shed on that same spot.
Well, yeah, he originally did, but looking at the parcel lines, the original building that he wanted to build was longer. I don't remember the size of it, but it was longer. But there's two different parcels there, and he would have had the building crossing over a parcel line. And obviously, even though we're not doing anything with the rest of that parcel, we don't want the building crossing a parcel line in case we ever do something with that parcel. So we don't want to do that, and we're not selling the parcel. We're keeping it, just doing the ground lease. So
Okay.
I'm just wondering again, I mean, if they're doing so well right now with 5,000 square feet and needing to add an additional 2,000 again during the COVID, when if again things go as we hope that they do, and Jean was mentioning just all of the other types of products that Ace Hardware can potentially bring on board. It just seems like the 2,000 square feet storage, is a good short-term solution, but I'm just questioning the long-term solution. And then the other thing is, again, if they're doing the pickup, with the cul-de-sac right next to the skate park, and that's a one-way going out, I mean, I could see, some issues there.
it's not next to the skate park. It's on the other side of the cul-de-sac from the skate park. So and that's a pretty big cul-de-sac because it was built to accommodate Christensen's with the horse trailer. So there would be conflicting, movement, but if you look at, let me show you this, hang on. Let's see if I can figure this out. Where am I?
What about the commercial space next to Lorenzo's as a bigger area eventually? Where they're doing the little homes and the commercial.
They probably would like it a little closer.
Yeah, I would like it to stay where stay down there, but there's it's just not big enough.
Yeah, I mean but like I said, the idea of having businesses that are feeding off of each other is important. And if they go down to Lorenzo's, then you lose that connectivity with.
I know, I get that.
I'm gonna share my screen here so you can see. If I do this right, and I don't. kill off of our. Can you see Google Maps there?
Yeah, I
Okay.
got it.
So with the skate park, you know, so this is the one way, right? The stop
Yeah.
bar is right here. People, when they're coming out and turning left, they're not swinging way out here. The building would be over here on the corner. So the building would be like right here on the corner. You'd have a curb cut here, and then it basically comes out like this. So it'd be right along here. This is the fence. Fence is right here. So these folks who are coming out here, they're turning left and going this way. They're not going to swing out. You're not going to really get a conflicting traffic movement here. You could have pedestrian impacts, but you know, it's a public street. And so the idea of putting a crosswalk here, if we end up having a lot of traffic going from one side to the other, we could look at doing that. At this point, I don't know if it's going to be a big enough issue that we would need to address, to have that be something to look at right now. And then that's an issue that the town could just decide to put in a crosswalk if we need to put a crosswalk in.
Yeah,
as far as
down the
what's
road.
as far as what's before you right now, you're looking at the design review of the building and the use permit. And I don't think at this point, I don't know if requiring a crosswalk there I don't know if we would need that or not. So
Where that little black car is, I don't know if you can see my arrow. Yeah, right there.
no.
They have a trailer there right now, which takes up some of that parking. Would that be gone once they put the building up?
Yeah, that's the pod thing that Mary Beth was talking about. So they're using that right now for their inventory storage. That'll go away, and that stuff will get moved over to the Annex building that they're building over here. So you pick up three parking spaces.
Yeah, that's important. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And frankly, it gets the ugly pod container out of the front of their store, which is
Yes.
a nice thing to have done too.
Sean, could you take your pointer and kind of outline where, I know the general area here, but could you make a little diagram of like a rectangle of more or less where the building sits?
I can't do it in Google Maps because I'm just using the internet version, but I can kind of show you with the pointer. So
Okay.
It'll basically be, let's see, here's the fence. It's about a foot off. It'll basically be like right here, coming like that. And then I'm not sure how far back it goes. I'm assuming it's probably about here. So it's right around in here.
And where more or less
obviously
is,
this isn't I don't have the scale and stuff set up. So
where more or less is the property line that they need to avoid?
it's right behind it. So they're going basically pretty close to the back of that, pretty close to that property line on the backside.
If they needed to expand, could they have a separate build? We own the other property.
We own the
I
whole
presume.
thing. Yeah, we own the whole
So
thing.
if they needed to expand, could they put a second building sometime on the
guess.
other property?
I guess, but I would rather figure out a better solution than just kind of scabbing together additional buildings, putting them kind of back to back there, because they'd have to be back to back. And, I think that there would be a better solution for them, which would end up probably, frankly, be moving. But I don't know how much need they would actually need to do that. If the main building here is 5,000 square feet and then they're adding in, 4,000 square feet of offsite storage, that's, I don't know. He seems to think that doing this 2,100 square foot building, it gives them enough room that they don't really need anything additional.
Now, did I read right that it's 35 feet tall? Now, how tall is it?
We weren't given how tall
Yeah,
it was.
we didn't, with what we were given, it doesn't specify height, but the maximum height within that zone is 35 feet.
Because they could store, really stack a lot of
Right.
stuff in there if it's tall enough to, really utilize that 2,000 square feet very, very, very well if someone figures it out. But wow, we can't lose them. We need them so bad.
Right.
And that's why in the photographic depictions, the red building photograph, which looks taller than the brown one,
Yes.
That's where I say it's kind of going to be somewhere in between there.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Jean, to answer your question, on page 6 of the staff report, it kind of shows the area that that size building would take on that end of that parcel. So it comes off the cul-de-sac, sets back 15 feet so that delivery trucks can back into it, unload, pull out forward. But the rear setback can be right up to that property line. So, you know, if it turns out they've only got 55 feet, then the building won't be 60 feet because we won't let them cross that parcel line.
I don't really have any problem with the concept or the location. And I don't know what the solution is, but I can't say I really like the building. I looked at that and I thought, I mean, our purpose tonight is the major one is design review. And I looked at that and I thought, if somebody brought that to us to put that on the back of their lot on Swetzer, we would say, I think we would say, hey, that's just a plain old metal building. That doesn't really fit the design review kind of quality and concept that we normally would expect. And we would say, back to the drawing board, that doesn't really fit. I feel like, you know, we're over a barrel here because we want to do this to help them. I don't know what is the best solution. I'd like to see something more substantial looking if it's going to be there. We don't know how long this lease is. Yes, Sean's told us how long for getting out of it, but I guess I have to assume that, assuming we can keep ACE, which I hope we can, we're looking at something as probably permanent, semi-permanent, and it's basically a metal shed that's basically an industrial or agricultural kind of ordinary metal shed. And it says, well, it's trying to be like fruit shed, except it really isn't. If you look at the fruit sheds and you look at this building, there's nothing in it other than it's metal to remind you of a fruit shed at all. I don't know what can be done to fix it, to make it better.
Make it look like the feathered nest.
Is the feathered nest metal?
No.
Gorgeous.
Well, yes, part of it is, but I mean, it's a much more design looking project. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful building.
Mhm.
You know, just a smaller
This
scale
is
of it.
not
I don't see
This is-
him wanting to spend that much money on a
Storage shed.
possibly temporary storage shed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, it's temporary storage shed unless they move out, if they are moving out of town
Well-
again. But if they aren't, we're probably looking at a rather semi-permanent sort of thing. And it's not like this is on the back of a Swetzer Road Light Industrial. This is right next to our public park. And it's going to have the public parking around it around this area. And it's going to have what the restaurant, I'm assuming, hoping that restaurant still goes in. And so we will have the public there for the park and public there, I hope, for other things. And so I don't know the solution. I don't want to turn them down because I don't think it's very.
Well, I think,
Appealing.
Jean, I think the artwork, and I like the orange color on that building, and that would really blend in nice with some of the fruit shed artwork. And I think that would kind of go a long way to making it blend in and maybe overcome some of the shortcomings of it being an aluminum shed.
You mean have the building be orange, or you
Well,
mean
like the one in the picture, the orange front, like that.
I don't like the orange.
I don't think so, Greg.
Okay, well.
I thought
like
Sean's
it.
idea of the beige and green was better. And I like the mandarin oranges. They'll have to figure out water for that, and manually water them, I suppose, or figure out something. But I like the idea of that. A question I had is, has the fire department weighed in on this about them not having any water over there?
I mentioned that during my presentation, and both building department and fire department regulate fire life safety. So if the fire department requires and building code requires that building to be sprinkled based on its occupancy use, then they will have to plumb water to it.
Okay,
I noticed that they said under the fire thing, it's a metal building, so that they weren't concerned about it. And I thought, well, you've got a lot of valuable content inside, so you would need to be worried about fire.
Yeah, and we added condition of approval number 25 that said they have to meet all requirements of the Cedar Creek Fire Protection, or not Cedar Creek, Southwest Fire Protection District. Whoopsie. I do that all the time though, I'm sorry.
So
I will
this-
say, one of the things that, as far as the design goes, he had to pull together kind of photos from the manufacturer or drawings from the manufacturer as quickly as he could to make the deadline, because he's bumping up against spring and he wants to be able to get something, built as quickly as he can. I don't think that he's sold on building something that looks like a barn, like the orange thing or whatever. In fact, what I talked to him about was basically building something that looked like High Hand or looked like the Blue Goose, or I didn't bring up Feather Nest because I think it's probably a little bit out of his price range, but the idea of doing something that matched the fruit sheds, and he was all for that. He actually talked about doing something with maybe a clear story up above. So, you got the little kind of the pop-up roof and then the windows along the side and then another roof. He talked about doing something like that. I think if the commission wants to specify a particular design, I would recommend that you probably do that. And maybe I can help kind of guide that discussion a little bit, because he's not set on building just, 4 walls and calling it good with, with a couple. I mean, he's okay with doing something a little bit more. He was just pressed for time to get the packet together, to get it on for tonight's meeting. So,
yeah.
I would say the packet is usually with design review, we're getting renderings, even preliminary plans or something like that. And it would be nice to get some architectural features incorporated.
Yeah.
I do believe it's possible to approve subject to design review.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's
that
what I
way
was.
we get him moving. Oh, you're on the same page, Greg? That's great.
That's what I was thinking. The same thing is we can have like a design review subcommittee, and he could maybe have a subcommittee and meet and come up with some plans and renderings, like you say, Mike, and maybe approve this tonight. I don't see any need to really have to continue this just for that reason. Does that make sense? Can we do that, Sean?
That way he can start grading. I mean, he knows if he knows the size, he can start getting all the, that ready to go at least, yeah.
And we'll put something together.
I also think that, well, he's coming so close to the fence where that mound of dirt is. I don't think grading is going to do it, but these are details he'll discover as he's moving along with his design. So my thoughts are, yes, Greg, a condition of approval subject to design review, which incorporates architectural features into the building, such as, and then we could give him a couple of suggestions.
Right.
Maybe a cupola up above, they're not a big deal, or maybe mural on the side. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm just, I want to get the guy moving along. And I could also see if he's a success, like the Ace Hardware in Davis encompasses all of these buildings around them. And I could see him moving across the street and staying in Christensen's old place and operating this as a outdoor warehouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see nothing but upside. And I think, yeah. But are we gonna lose some asphalt that we just put in, Sean?
No, I told them that I didn't want them to take any of the asphalt out because we just put it down. So that's the reason for putting the building up against the asphalt and putting the container trees along the front of the building on the asphalt itself.
Okay. All right. Can we go ahead and we'll move this and maybe hear from the applicant at this point?
Maybe we can say something like the incorporating elements of fruit shed something. So we're kind of giving a direction. And Sean, thank you. That's very helpful. Giving a direction without specifying a lot. We're not trying to do the details.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think what my recommendation at this point, Mr. Chair, would be to open it up to members of the public, see if anybody has any comments.
Well,
do
we need to hear from the applicant first?
I thought that he was going to be on, but he doesn't look like he's
not
on
here
tonight.
Okay. No. All right. Well, let's open it up for public comment then, and then we'll bring it back to commission.
So if a member of the public wants to make, we got a couple people raising their hands. So, David Ring, you're turned on. You just need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just wanted to make a quick comment. I like the idea of approving it conditionally, but I did want to note that in one of in Exhibit A on page, it looks like 11 of the agenda packet, it says that the proposed structure provides an attractive and desirable. I mean, the proposed structure provides architectural design. You don't even have a proposed structure to look at, and so it's hard to. I think those two, or at least several of those items, need to be wiped out before you approve this, because there's nothing. You can't approve it without. It seems to be weird to approve something that you're saying that the proposed structure sounds good, and you don't even have a proposed structure at all to look at. That's it.
Is it appropriate under the findings then to add wording like the proposed structure will provide design, architectural design? Kind of put that front loaded, and then it'll come back to design review.
Yeah. Mary Beth, can we step through the public comment, and then we'll go back to those things? And then we'll kind of do that as our wrap up, and we'll come up with a kind of a plan on how we're going to sort this out from approving it tonight, if we do that, and the subsequent pending design review. Okay, so other public comments, Sean?
We have one more. Yeah. Pam Blake, you had your hand raised. Did you not? Let's go with, Pam Blake has her hand raised. All right, Pam, you're turned on. You just need to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Is there any lighting back there where this metal building is going to go? And if there isn't, if there's no lighting back there, it's going to be quite dark, and it's behind everything where you're not getting, any type of traffic. So I'd like to suggest some type of outdoor lighting to go next to the metal building. Maybe it could be solar powered or something, but being on the Loomis community post and other stuff, people are talking about the crime and stuff, and I think the crime happens more when the area is not lighted. I mean, my house is lit up on the side, the front, my front door. So can you answer that question quickly? Is there lighting back there?
There's 2 street lights on the cul-de-sac on either side of where the building will be.
That's my only concern, is about the security and somebody breaking in, and hopefully it could be maybe additional lights or something right where the building, is to just deter that, because it's, I love Ace Hardware. I go to the Granite Bay, but not anymore, and so I hate to have the business owner have something catastrophic like that happen with somebody. I don't know if they're using a padlock or whatever it's going to look like to break in and have some additional, lighting to be put in. So that was my only, comment was about security and lighting. So, and I do love Ace Hardware. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Pam.
We got we got one more for sure. Jan, you're turned on and ready to go. Just unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening, Planning Commissioners. I'm excited to talk about this particular project that you're looking at right now. I love Ace Hardware, and I'm speaking to you as a citizen tonight. I know that they have problems with their inventory and definitely want to make sure that we try to help them as much as we can. Talking about that building and talking about how it may look aesthetically pleasing, I can tell you that I designed my house after our fruit sheds, and it's actually called a raised center with monitor windows, and that's what the feathered nest did. And it usually isn't as expensive. Maybe it's more expensive having the windows, but it is one of the things that I think that you're talking about. And I just wanted to give you a name in case you were looking for something to call that aesthetic with the windows all across. It will also add light inside the building, and it is just absolutely beautiful. So that's all I wanted to say tonight. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, somebody else up there, Sean?
Doesn't look like it now.
Okay. All right, so we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion. And I guess to summarize, it looks like we want to add a condition, maybe in regards to the traffic hand truck. Are you prepared to add something like that, Mary Beth, tonight? Okay, and then we talked about making a condition about some artwork on the side, but that I would make sense to wrap that up into the design review.
Yeah.
And so the design review, we're going to make that, and a lot of the discussion about, I think, security and the locks and lighting and all that could probably go under design review. So I don't know exactly how the language we want to use on that. Maybe Sean and Mary Beth, you guys can help us out, how we're going to carve that out. And do we actually form a subcommittee, or can design review be worked on with staff and maybe one or two planning commissioners? Jean, you were really interested in that, I think, and Bonnie. And then go ahead.
It's in the next month.
And
I
Linda.
won't be the planning commissioner.
If you do
Okay.
if you do it with more than one, and Andreas could probably answer this question, not me better, but if you do it with more than one commissioner, I think it triggers it over to be a noticed meeting, public meeting. Is that right, Andreas?
If we form an ad hoc subcommittee, then it wouldn't necessarily be. But the other point that I need to raise here at this point is that we can't punt the decision on the design review to a future meeting. We have to, based on the Loomis Municipal Code, you have to decide on the design review at the same time as you vote on this conditional use permit. So if you'd like to have the applicant work with a planning commissioner or two to come up with an agreeable design, that would be fine. But as far as the actual approval of the design review, that is a decision that would need to be made tonight. If you vote also on the conditional use permit.
In the past, we have approved developments, I cannot think of the name currently, subject to design review by the town planner.
So you could
maybe
also,
we didn't follow the rules when we did that, but we have approved because these are details that are often not yet determined when they come to the planning commission.
yes, so you can defer actual design specifications to either to have the applicant work with staff or to work with a planning commissioner. but I'm saying the actual decision on the design review approval is something that has to come concurrently with the conditional use permit. So that as far as hammering out specific details, like coming up with a color or coming up with a specific architectural feature, you can push that down the line. As far as coming up with specifics when there's more specific details that have come forth about the actual building.
Okay, yeah, that was my understanding.
So
We showed
Sean,
them some ideas.
I
John,
would
do you see-
recommend, what my advice for the commission at this point then would be to, so Andres, you said that they can't act on the use permit without acting on the design review. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's what it looks like our code calls for, so that's what we should stick with.
So if the commission's comfortable, you could make a motion to approve the conditional use permit, approve the design review with additional direction to the applicant to provide for further tying the
Details.
building in details, tying the building into the historic fruit shed look of the town. I mean, would that get them there, Andreas, or is that not going to get them there?
I think that would work, yes. Again, it comes down to the level of comfort of the commission as far as how much latitude to allow the applicant and staff to work out later as far as the design goes, while still giving their design review approval.
So is there any latitude for any commissioners to work on that, say, under Mary Beth, or, and it could be 2 people if it's ad hoc?
If it's
Or we
an ad
can't do
hoc
that
subcommittee
either.
appointed by the chair, then yes, that would be okay. We can't have a quorum working on this without it being publicly noticed meetings. And it would have to be a subcommittee appointed by the chair.
Okay, well, we can do that this evening. Are you guys kind of in agreement with that we can appoint 2 people to form an ad hoc, and we can approve the project, assuming that's what we're going to do. We have a condition here, maybe about the forklift or something, if that's the case. And then we'll appoint 2 commissioners to form an ad hoc committee to work with staff and the applicant for final details on a fruit shed design. Sound good?
We
Okay.
have
I see.
had a case in the past. It was for Montserrat, and they were changing their landscape plan entirely. And so Janet Thu and I were asked to come and meet with their people, just the 2 of us, and the planning director, and we were able to work that out.
Yeah. All right. So Mary Beth, do we have an additional condition now we're going to add tonight, in separate from the design review issue? I don't hear you, Mary Beth. Mary Beth, you got to unmute. There you go.
Yes, my condition for your consideration to add is merchandise transfers from the annex to the point of sale shall be by hand truck only via the designated path of travel. The use of forklifts on Walnut Street is prohibited.
Okay, I agree with that. Thank you. All right. So I think we're starting to formulate, we're getting somewhere. It looks like, okay, so if we decide to approve this condition or this resolution project with the added condition that Mary Beth just put forth, and then form an ad hoc subcommittee to work with staff of 2 planning commissioners appointed by the chair. And that's kind of what the motion would sound like. And so how many commissioners are interested in, I think, Jean, Linda, and Bonnie, right? Is that correct? No, Bonnie, yes or no? You got to unmute, Bonnie.
Sorry, I don't need to participate in that one. I trust both Linda and Jean.
Okay, then if everybody agrees with that, Mike, did you have any interest at all to throw your hat in on that, or are you okay with Linda and Jean?
Aesthetics are a relatively weak point for me.
Okay. All right, so then I will designate Jean.
How about
and,
you, Greg? Are you interested?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'll hand it off to you guys. My
I
plate
did
is
write a
full. My
condition
plate
of
is full.
approval. I did
Pardon
write
me?
a condition of approval that might work here. This will be number 7. This approval is subject to design review focused on architectural enhancements to the building, such as or similar to cupolas, awnings, fruit shed labeled mural, or other enhancements as approved by, I guess it would be the ad hoc committee.
Correct.
I just put in as approved by the town planner, but the town planner would be on the ad hoc committee. So just ad hoc committee. How about that? I'm just trying to
Okay.
move it along. That's why I jotted
No,
that
that's
down.
good. I
So
appreciate that.
I would
Mike.
have one edit to that language, and that would be to substitute design review with just the word design, because design review is the term of art that's defined in the municipal code. So to get us away from that, I would just refer to it as the design. That's all of those things.
Okay. All right. So with all that, are we ready for a motion? Go ahead, Mary Beth.
I have a quick statement here. We took a couple of public comments, but we didn't address their concerns. David Ring was talking about the findings, and is it appropriate to adjust those findings so that, like number 2, the proposed structure will provide architectural design. Number 3, the proposed structure will provide an attractive and desirable site layout and design. Or do we need to leave that out and just address it in the conditions?
That sounds, well, it sounds like it could be a design review issue, isn't it?
Yes, and we're adding the condition for the design review. Yeah. I just don't know if it's appropriate to change that wording in the findings, since, I don't know, Andreas.
So the tense of the findings that you're describing, I think, is still within the letter and the spirit of the municipal code provision that describes the design review. So I think that change in the tense would be appropriate. But again, I'd like to emphasize you are ruling on the design review tonight, or you're voting on the design review tonight.
Right.
You're not pushing the design review down the line to the ad hoc committee. You're looking at the design to the
For
ad
the
hoc
refinement
committee.
of the design.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then the
Excuse me a
other
minute.
comment was from, let's wait for Greg for a moment.
Jan?
So we should, instead of saying subject to design review, perhaps we could say subject to design enhancements to the building as approved by whoever, the ad hoc committee, the town planner, both of them together. I think that gets us around it.
Yes, I think that phrasing would work.
Okay, good.
Pam Blake in her public comment talked about security lighting, and on page 9 of your staff report, it does indicate they will be providing motion sensor security lighting on the exterior of the building. They are solar mounted lights because they're not getting electricity to the building. So I just wanted to clarify that. And that was it. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry for my brief pause. So are we good then? Do we have a motion?
Well, I really don't want to inhibit this project because I do see the benefits for the downtown. But gosh, if you could at least stub out so you could just hook up utilities to it in the future. I mean, I just think that's short-sighted. I think it's a short-sighted building, but that's okay. It's temporary. But metal buildings are not cheap. I'm sure at 2,000 square feet, he's going to get into $100,000 very easily here. So, you know, it is semi-permanent. That's what I'm getting at. But I do want to see it approved. So,
Wouldn't that be determined by, you know, like the fire department and things like that? And you
well,
mean,
certainly some of it, you know, sprinklers, for instance, yes. I don't know all those rules. The building department, don't know that they could require you to do that. It could be done in the future. I mean, look, if business is booming like it is, then that'll provide the means to add on and make the
Right.
revisions I'm talking about in the future. You know, but I do agree with Gene. This building's likely to be there for a while.
Because, well, yeah, I don't know. That's a big change, Mike.
Yeah,
That's-
I agree. It's fine. We can push it through because, that's like I say, future revenue will dictate those kind of things.
Yeah. If
He's
their
going to
needs
quickly
grow,
be dissatisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will. So I'm willing to make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit as stated in resolution number 21-02 and in exhibit A, the findings as amended by two things, subject to design enhancements that I read to you guys earlier, and the stipulations that Mary Beth added would be condition number 8 or finding number 8, that hand trucks used for moving the merchandise, which I don't really like, but I do realize, hey, there is a traffic issue could develop there.
right.
You know, but I also think you could throw the stuff in the back of a pickup truck. I don't necessarily want to be so specific to tell them it's got to be in a hand truck.
Yeah.
I hate to restrict people like that. It's like, it might be too bulky for a hand truck or something. And I guess we're going to have sidewalk there then, I guess. Which we haven't shown or stated. Isn't it just curb and gutter in that area?
There's a sidewalk that wraps all the way around.
Oh, there is. Okay, I missed it.
Yeah.
I drove by, I just didn't see it. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is that right, Mike? That's your motion?
Yeah, but I would change the suggested condition that Mary Beth had.
Just remove the word hand
Forklifts will
truck.
not be used on the street. Maybe that's enough, you know, because like I say, you can load some big stuff in the pickup truck and just drive across the road, park in a parking space and unload it. And that would give him some flexibility. There's likely to be some big stuff in there.
Okay, so,
I second.
all right, can we have a
Thanks, Linda.
roll call vote, please?
Okay, Commissioner London,
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Hogan,
Mike?
Commissioner Hogan.
Oh, Did she call me yet?
Yes.
Yeah, I vote yes. If you called me, I vote yes. Yeah.
Chairman
I'm sorry,
Obranovich.
my connection is not very good tonight.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody. That was arduous, but good job. I think we brought up some good
Yay.
points. Motion approved. Oh, I'm not gonna get back to the agenda here. Well, give me a moment. I reshuffled my papers and I lost my agenda. Here we go.
Well, I think
Okay, we had planning directors. What? Planning directors report?
Yes, besides these two matters, I don't have a lot to report other than our general plan update. And Carol, if I could get you to mute. I'm getting echo, thank you. So general plan update, last Thursday, the council went through another painstaking task of assigning members to committees. And that has floated down and people are being placed and notified. There were a couple of people that were chosen that didn't select a particular committee. So a new member that was looking at, from the statement of interests, that was looking to serve on that particular committee will have to be chosen. I'm still waiting for a couple of commissioners and council members to submit their auxiliary choices. So, you know, we have all these committees, they're getting filled. We were hoping to have committee meetings starting next week, but at this point in time, that's looking a little iffy and we may have to push that out. So, you know, we published that weekly calendar of meeting events. We may end up starting on week 2 versus week 1, based on how it all really sifts out. We've had to adjust a couple of times and dates or days of the week based on key people not being able to participate on those days. So things will still kind of move. Once everybody's confirmed, then I feel real comfortable in going forward. Our third housing element committee meeting will be on the second Wednesday of next month. So that's been going on since December, and you know, they're making great progress and strides. So that one's off and on the way. So we'll get the other ones up and rolling and social pinpoint happening and all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, mid-March, we'll be up and running with general plan committees and launch that ship, but at least we'll be in a good order to do that properly for everybody and keep everybody on the same page. So I know all of the planning commissioners have been selected for at least one committee assignment, if not multiple. So thank you for your service, and I look forward to working with you guys on those. Unless you have any other questions of me, general plan has been my life these days.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, the next would be any reports from the commissioners. That's not on the agenda. All righty, so I guess our next meeting would be in third Tuesday of March, and we'll see everybody then. Okay, well, I'll call the meeting. Anything else? I'll call the meeting adjourned. Pardon me? Fourth, sorry. Okay. Yeah. I don't have the date in front of me, but it'll come up. All right. Thank you, everybody.